Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to kick off today's presentation. Today's topic is Meadow Surprises. We'll explore some wonderful and unexpected things that can happen in meadows. In the next few slides, we'll cover what makes meadows special, some surprising facts, and why they matter. Let's get started. Welcome to the contents of today's presentation. We'll start with the introduction, setting the stage for what's to come. Then, we'll explore the poem itself, which is at the heart of our discussion. Moving on, we'll look at the brook, a symbol of tranquility and flow, and then the butterfly, representing transformation. We'll also delve into flowers and dandelions, highlighting their significance and beauty in nature. The rabbit will bring in a sense of curiosity and liveliness. Exploring the meadow will help us see the broader landscape and interconnectedness of these elements. We'll wrap up with a conclusion and a summary to reinforce key ideas. Finally, we'll go through some exercises to apply what we've learned and finish with acknowledgments for those who contributed. This structure is designed to guide us through a rich, interconnected exploration of nature and poetry, emphasizing themes of growth, change, and harmony. Welcome to this part of the presentation where we focus on the introduction. Here, I want to emphasize the importance of setting the stage for what's to come. The introduction is really our opportunity to outline the key points and give you a clear idea of the overall direction. It's about creating a foundation so that everything else makes sense within the bigger picture. I'll be explaining these concepts thoroughly, but in a conversational manner, so it feels engaging rather than just formal. We'll highlight the most critical ideas that connect to the overall theme, ensuring that you understand how each piece fits into the larger story we're telling. This approach helps us stay aligned and keeps the presentation cohesive from start to finish. On this slide, we're exploring the poem and its imagery. Meadow have surprises. It reminds us that nature often holds unexpected delights if we take the time to notice. You can find them if you look, emphasizing the importance of observation and curiosity. Walk softly through the velvet grass. Here, velvet suggests a soft, luxurious texture, inviting us to move gently and appreciate the delicate beauty around us. And listen by the brook being a small stream that adds a soothing, natural soundscape to our experience. By focusing on these details, the poem encourages us to slow down and truly observe the environment, making our connection with nature more meaningful. Remember, the overall theme is about discovering beauty and surprises in the everyday world, simply by paying attention and approaching with a gentle, curious spirit. Let's take a closer look at the concept of the brook. When we talk about a brook, we're referring to a small, flowing stream of water, often found in rural or natural settings. These tiny waterways might seem simple, but they play a crucial role in the ecosystem. They help sustain plant and animal life, contribute to the water cycle, and even shape the landscape over time. In the context of our overall theme, the brook represents the idea of small, seemingly modest elements that, collectively, have a significant impact. Just like a single brook might appear minor on its own, it's part of a larger network of waterways that support the environment. So, understanding the importance of the brook helps us appreciate how small, natural features are vital to the health of our ecosystems and, ultimately, our world. Now, here we see a butterfly, a wonderful example of nature's delicate beauty. You might notice it resting gently on a buttercup flower, taking a moment to feed. It's fascinating because the butterfly unfolds what look like tiny drinking straws. These are its proboscis, specially adapted to sip nectar. Nectar is that sweet fluid produced by flowers, which serves as a vital energy source for many pollinators like butterflies. This interaction highlights the important relationship between flowers and insects, a key part of the pollination process that supports plant reproduction. So, as we consider this scene, remember how these beautiful creatures rely on nectar, illustrating the intricate connections within ecosystems that keep nature thriving. Let's take a closer look at some common flowers and natural objects we encounter. First, we have the dandelion, which is a familiar flower that many of us see in lawns and fields. It's interesting because, beyond its beauty, it also plays a role in the ecosystem. Next, we have the buttercup, another common flower known for its bright yellow color, often found in meadows and gardens. These flowers are not only visually appealing, but also important for pollinators like bees. Moving on, we see a drinking straw, which might seem simple but is actually a small, flexible tube used for drinking liquids. And finally, there are small drinking pipers. These could be tiny pipes or tubes used in various contexts, perhaps in science or art. Connecting these points, whether natural or man-made, illustrates how simple objects and flowers can serve multiple purposes and have interesting designs. Recognizing these everyday items helps us appreciate the diversity and ingenuity in both nature and human creations. Now let's talk about rabbits. You might not notice a rabbit at first because it often sits very still, blending into its surroundings. But here's an interesting point. If you try to scare it, you'll see how it reacts. When a rabbit is frightened, it reacts quickly. Sometimes it hops away suddenly or jumps into the air. The words scare and frighten capture that initial reaction of surprise or fear. And the key movement here is hops, a rabbit's typical way of moving when it's startled. Sometimes you'll see a rabbit jump or spring away rapidly to escape danger. This slide highlights how animals like rabbits respond to threats with quick, agile movements, something that ties into our overall theme of animal behavior and survival. So remember, a still rabbit can suddenly become very lively when startled, illustrating how instinct drives their quick reactions. Now let's take a closer look at the second part of the dandelion's story. A dandelion that once had a fuzzy, golden head during the sunny days has now transformed into these delicate, airy parachutes. When you blow on them, they flutter gently in the breeze. The word fuzzy here describes that soft, textured appearance of the dandelion before it disperses. And flutter captures how these tiny parachutes move, like the wings of a bird, light and graceful. When we say blow, we're talking about exhaling with force, which helps to send those parachutes soaring away. This transformation illustrates a beautiful cycle of change, symbolizing how things evolve and let go, much like in life. The key idea is how these soft, airy structures respond to our actions, reminding us of the fragility and resilience of nature. Now let's take a closer look at exploring the meadow. When we walk through this vibrant environment, we notice the different homes animals create. For example, some animals live in burrows, which are holes in the ground made by animals to stay safe and comfortable. These burrows provide shelter and protection from predators and weather. Then we see the ants' amazing mound. This is a pile of earth built by ants as they excavate soil to create their underground tunnels and chambers. It's quite a remarkable feat of engineering, showing how hardworking and organized these tiny creatures are. And don't forget about the nests beneath tall grasses. Many birds and insects build their homes here, hidden from view but perfectly positioned for safety and access to food. All these different structures, burrows, mounds, and nests, highlight how animals adapt to their environment. They build these homes to survive and thrive in the meadow. So, exploring these homes really helps us understand the diversity and ingenuity of life in this beautiful ecosystem. Oh, meadows have surprises and many things to tell. You may discover these yourself if you look and listen well. Discover. Find out. Remember, the meadows are full of hidden wonders waiting to be uncovered. By paying close attention and being curious, we can learn so much more about the natural world around us. This ties back to our overall theme of exploration and appreciation of nature's beauty. So, I encourage you all to take the time to look carefully and listen closely. There's always something new to discover in the meadows. Let's take a moment to imagine walking across a meadow. As we do, we discover many wonderful things around us. First, we notice the grass. It's so soft and cozy, almost like velvet under our feet. We might also see a gentle brook flowing nearby, adding a soothing sound to the scene. Look closely and you'll spot colorful flowers, delicate and beautiful, and butterflies fluttering from one flower to another, sipping nectar. When they do, their bodies seem almost like tiny drinking straws. If you watch carefully, you may even see a rabbit hopping around, full of energy. Now, one of the most interesting sights is the wildflowers, like dandelions. Their light yellow flowers can be blown on, and then they drift away like tiny parachutes. Beneath the ground, there are hidden burrows where some animals live, and under the tall grasses, we might spot an ant's impressive mound. its home. Meadows are truly full of surprises. They're vibrant, lively places full of life and hidden wonders. The key is to know how to see and listen. Then you can discover these amazing things for yourself. Remember, exploring nature is about paying attention and being curious. That's where the magic happens. Now, students, it's time for some exercises. Let's look at the stanza on the slide and analyze it together. First, I want you to identify the reference and explanation of this poem. The stanza is from a poem called Meadow Surprises by Lois Brandett Phillips. It describes the beauty of a meadow, highlighting how lush green grass creates a peaceful and lively scene. Next, let's understand the explanation. The poet is pointing out the silent features of a meadow, things you might not notice at first glance. For example, if you observe carefully, you might see burrows in the ground where animals live, or a nest tucked away in the tall grasses. The poet also mentions the mounds created by ants, which are quite surprising and interesting to observe. Now let's look at the rhyming scheme. It follows an ob-ob pattern. The rhyming words are houses with grasses and ground with mound. These rhymes help give the poem a musical flow, making it more enjoyable to read aloud. Finally, note that the poet uses simple yet vivid imagery to show us the hidden life of a meadow. This exercise encourages us to observe nature carefully and appreciate its quiet wonders. So, try to think about these elements when you read or write poetry. Notice the details, the rhymes, and the connections to nature. Now, as we reach the final slide, I want to take a moment to talk about acknowledgements. This is where I invite your kind suggestions and remarks. Your feedback is invaluable, as it helps me improve and ensure that this presentation resonates with you. I truly appreciate your attention and engagement throughout this session. Thank you so much for your time and interest.